Let's remember, as with any Nintendo Switch hardware rumor, I am not the source of the rumor. I am the middleman. I am the stopgap. I'm the person who sees the information and then tells his audience about the information. Much like the whole situation with the Nintendo Switch Pro a couple years ago, Mochizuki from the Wall Street Journal was saying that this was actually happening, this was actually going to be a thing, and then we got the Switch OLED. A lot of people got upset at me about it, and it's like, okay, you could be mad at me. That's fine, but you have to remember, I was the middleman. I'm not the source of this information. I'm not the one gathering this information and presenting it to you as factual. I'm simply just saying what others are saying within the industry. And now, unfortunately, we have to talk about some Switch Pro stuff. Look, I don't care what you think of that. If you're happy with your Nintendo Switch in 2022 and 2023, from a hardware perspective, from the way that it plays games, fine. That's your prerogative. But don't get mad when there's other people out there that don't like the fact that the Switch is definitely showing its age in terms of games, in terms of game performance. When a game is announced as a multi-platform release, 9.99 times out of 10, the Switch version is going to be the worst version of that game. And that's okay. You know, that's just what it is right now. But a lot of us were hoping that Nintendo was going to do a revision of the Switch in terms of incremental power, or things like DLSS technology, or just something to make the games run a little bit better and look a little bit better and play a little bit better, because things like frame rate can indeed affect your gameplay experience, especially with heavy hitter titles such as The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom coming up. This is a big experience, and when you look at Nintendo from a perspective of sort of either starting a system or ending a system, usually Zelda is right alongside of there. The last time we saw a new Zelda game get released at the end of a system's life cycle was the Wii U, because Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game. Then before that, you had Skyward Sword. A year later, you had the Wii U after Skyward Sword came out on the Wii. So it's not outside the realm of possibility to think, well, maybe something's happening with this. Well, Digital Foundry over there at Digital Foundry did their little end of year podcast, and John Linneman had some very interesting things to say about the alleged Switch Pro thing. Once again, I'm not the one saying this. I am simply conveying what others are saying. So if you want to get mad at someone, go get mad at Digital Foundry. Go get mad at Mochizuki. Don't get mad at me, because I don't care to listen to it. So we'll be looking at the My Nintendo News article for this, which summarizes it. Digital Foundry mid-generation Switch refresh was canned internally. Successor next. Digital Foundry's John Linneman has revealed in the latest Digital Foundry Direct Weekly that he has spoken to a number of different developers about whether or not a revised Switch Online or Switch console is still in the works. From what he understands from the people that he has spoken to is that a revised unit was planned by the secretive Kyoto-based company, I always say that wrong, I don't care, but was ultimately scrapped. The reason for this remains unknown, although it could have well been due to COVID-19 pandemic, which caused market turbulence worldwide due to component shortages, worldwide lockdowns, etc. Linneman believes whatever Nintendo is planning to bring out next will be the full-blown successor to the Nintendo Switch system, which was originally launched worldwide in May of 2017. Then we have Linneman's quote here, so we'll go over that. So I think at one point internally, from what I understand from talking to different developers, is that there was some sort of mid-generation Switch update planned at one point, and that seems to no longer be happening. And thus, it's pretty clear that whatever they're planning to do next to be the actual next generation hardware. So now because of this, you're going to have people come out of the woodwork, you know, taking victory laps and stuff like that with this. But I don't think you should, first off, let's be realistic here. John Linneman is a trusted individual within the video game industry, but he's not the be-all end-all. It's not the be-all end-all when it comes to information like this, because Nintendo is a pretty secretive company. I mean, we've been looking at patents and stuff like that of what Nintendo could be potentially doing next. We see the term next generation hardware. And that's something that I think we need to sort of stop and take a look at from a perspective of the fact that next generation hardware doesn't necessarily mean that it's something completely different. When you look at what PlayStation and what Xbox, especially what Xbox is doing, all these games that are coming out on Xbox, most of them are available on the Xbox One VCR, which came out in what, 2013? We're talking 10-year-old systems here that are still getting new Xbox games because of the way that Xbox has designed their ecosystem. Of course, PlayStation with Jim Ryan said, "We believe in the power of console generations," but that was a complete lie because most of their stuff is still coming out on the PlayStation 5. You do finally have some games that are not coming out on the PlayStation 5, such as Spider-Man 2, the upcoming Horizon DLC, which a lot of people are mad about, but I'm actually very interested to see what that looks from a graphical standpoint. And then you have the Nintendo Switch. To me, the Switch is the system that should be constantly getting mid-generation refreshes. It shouldn't even have to be generational based. It should be something like I've been saying for quite a while now, something like an iPhone, something like a cell phone, because really you're using mobile technology within this device, which is constantly evolving and constantly changing. When the Switch was conceived back in, we'll say 2015, maybe 2016 chipset, but more than likely a 2015 chipset, things have gotten drastically different within those 8 years about what handheld systems in general can do. You, of course, have had a multitude of different emulation-based systems. You, of course, have things like the Steam Deck as well, which is like in a whole nother realm of power. And yes, I understand the Steam operating system is very different from a Nintendo-based operating system, but still, they're handheld devices, so I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to compare these things together. But now it seems like, at least according to John Linneman, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get any sort of mid-generation refresh, and whatever Nintendo's planning on doing is what they're planning on doing next. John did also say that there is some alleged internal discussion at Nintendo, a little bit of concern over the launch of whatever this new system is going to be whenever the system launches, because there have been times where you had the Wii to the Wii U era and people said, oh, well, the Wii U wasn't ready to hit the marketplace, but then they say that Nintendo only releases hardware when it's ready to hit the marketplace. So which is it? I think Nintendo is at a bit of a crossroads here. I think they're at a bit of a crossroads when it comes to what are we doing? Because now you used to have the handheld market and the console market, so you could sort of balance those two. You could sort of play off of each other and integrate them with one another and have features that are cross-compatible with them. But now you only have one system. You don't have a dedicated handheld. You don't have a dedicated home console. You have one system that is supposed to embody and encompass both features of what you were known for. So what is this next system? Is it going to be just a beefier Nintendo Switch with a new Switch name on it? Is it going to have exclusive titles that can only be played on this system? Is it going to allow for upscaling of previous titles? Is it going to be something completely different than what the Switch is and completely abandon the hybrid concept and just go in a completely different direction and completely just keep saying completely over and over again because my vocabulary is a little bit limited at times? I think one thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration with all of this is the law of diminishing returns. And what I mean by that is, look at a console, look at any console that's ever come out pretty much since the dawn of time, okay? The launch titles of that console are usually indicative of a time frame or a developer limitation, and then by the end of that console you have masterpieces that you would look at from a graphical standpoint, from a performance standpoint, and say, wow, that's not really capable. I'm surprised that was capable. Look at the NEX. Look at like a black box title versus Kirby's Adventure. Okay, that was a huge leap. And with the Switch, for a lot of people, it sort of tapped out at the very start of the system with Breath of the Wild. You know, I think there are some more visually impressive games on there and better running games on there, but for a lot of people, Breath of the Wild is still the standard. And that was a Wii U game. So you never really got to see the evolution of games like you quite did on other consoles, especially from the first party perspective. I think third party companies have done a very solid job with a lot of Switch games. Yes, there's been a lot of shitty ports, but there's been a lot of good ports as well. But I just feel like from that first perspective of Nintendo, from first party titles, we got that huge year in 2017 with Xenoblade 2 and Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild and Splatoon 2, and then it was kind of like, all right, we're going to make some more games, but there's nothing that's really going to wow you. Like Luigi's Mansion, I think is still one of the best looking games on the system, but how long ago did that come out? It's been quite a while. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of any of this. I think it's exciting for 2023, but I think it's going to be a very odd year if you know, it's next December 27th. I'm filming this at nighttime, or the 28th, we'll say, when you're watching this. I think it's going to be a very weird 2023 if a year from today we still don't know anything about new Nintendo hardware. And I would really be interested to see what Nintendo did in the previous year and what they're planning on doing in 2024 and how the market has changed, because, you know, what's hot today isn't necessarily hot tomorrow, and you could get into all sorts of different metrics and stuff like that, but we're not going to do that for this video because I just want to keep this simple. So it seems like, it really seems like for a lot of people, the Switch OLED was supposed to be that improved Switch system, but Nintendo was just like, we can't get the components, but we still want to release something, so we'll just release something with a slightly better screen. But the future of the company is interesting, to say the least, because what direction do they go in? Is it another hybrid system? Do you completely abandon the handheld market and make a home console? Is there a gimmick attached to it? Are you going to try VR? Because there's a VR patent that I'm sure Spawnwave is going to talk about in a little bit. I don't know, man. I don't know. But maybe you do know, because the viewer is always right, and you guys always have some very interesting things to say in the comment section. So go ahead, fill out that comment section, give me your 2 cents on the situation. Is Linneman just talking out his ass, and the Switch is going to live on for another 10 years of prominence and dominance, and games are just going to not really run on the system? Everything's going to move to the cloud because nothing will be able to run natively on it? Or do you think that there is something happening within the near future? I don't know. Don't get mad at me. I'm just the middleman, not the linen man, the middleman. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Yes, my bookshelf is still down. I'm gonna fix it now. I took a little nappy when I was gonna fix it, and yeah, I'll fix it now because I have a little bit of time. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.